flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Betty, please let the record show that the board met in executive session to discuss matters leading to the employment, appointment, promotion of a particular person or persons, and discussions regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation. This is a very exciting meeting, my last meeting, and for some new teachers here, their tenure meeting, so very exciting. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Drizzo and let him talk about our tenure candidate.
Sure. So welcome, everyone. It's really nice to see you all. I'm going to turn this over to the principals who will speak to each of our tenure candidates tonight. But I do want to take a moment to congratulate each and every single one of you. And also we'll be honoring our retirees this evening. The recommending of tenure is probably one of the most important things that I do, certainly in the top 1, 2, 3 things that I get to do in this job. And it's one of the more impactful, and one of the cooler things. It provides us with an opportunity to affirm our commitment to all of you and for us to culminate a rigorous process of hiring and supervision that takes place over an extended period of time. So I always see tenure as a beginning and not an end, and I encourage you all to think of it in those terms. And as you start your tenure here, as do I will learn with you and grow with you and develop over the course of many years. So you are my very first tenure class in North Shore, and so that will always be very special to me, and I congratulate you with my heartiest of congratulations. So very well done, and I'm going to turn this over to our principals. So let's take this, since I'm new, do we do this by building or do we do this by building, yes? Okay, that's the way I would do it. Okay.
Before we start, can I just make one suggestion?
Microphone.
Someone please get rid of this light. We did it last meeting here. Somebody, do you remember? Shelley? All right. Which one?
You can go last.
You can go last. Yeah. It's really tough right here. It's like right in the eyes.
All right, so let's
It's an interrogation. We sat through 2 hours of it last time. It was awful. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's all good. It's like, I love the show Homeland, so it's kind of like being on, it's like a little Homeland-ish. Okay, so Mrs. Finder, can you come on up and we'll start with Glenwood Landing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Much better.
This is Christine Volk. As the social worker at Glenwood Landing School, she promotes and enhances the overall vision of Glenwood Landing as she serves 443 students, their parents, and a faculty of over 100. She significantly contributes to the development of a healthy, safe, and caring environment by providing services that strengthen the home, school, and community. One of the greatest strengths that Ms. Volk brings to Glenwood Landing School is her knowledge and skills for direct and indirect intervention, including counseling on an individual, group, or family basis, consulting with administration and teachers about student problems and appropriate strategies, problem solving in a crisis situation, conflict resolution. For example, on several occasions I have called upon Ms. Volk to help facilitate a difficult conversation with students and parents. Ms. Volk has a strong sense of effective questioning in a supportive way. She demonstrates a proactive approach to meeting students' individual needs along with the entire population. She knows our students well and uses what she knows to teach them proactive strategies for when they are experiencing social emotional difficulty. She's able to address barriers to learning and achievement through their implementation of effective intervention strategies. For example, she has developed several student-centered programs to address building needs. Dignity Diplomats, a club for leaders, has had a tremendous impact on all of our students. In addition, our new students benefit from the newcomers meetings. She is a key player in the development of our school-wide K-5 programming using the ruler approach. She demonstrates a strong understanding of the ruler approach to teaching social-emotional learning, along with the effective instructional strategies. She has created useful resources for teaching students how to regulate their emotions. In addition, she has helped to prepare and utilize specialized materials for classified students. Together, we have trained the lunch monitors in the use of the ruler approach, which has had a positive impact on behavior management and lunch and recess. She is truly an asset to the entire community. It is for these reasons and many more that I recommend Christine Volk for tenure.
Dr. Z? Thank you. That's great.
Good evening, everyone. So at Seacliff School, we have three very talented, very amazing faculty members receiving tenure this evening. I'd first like to call up Dr. Meredith Cherry. Dr. Meredith Cherry began her career as a school psychologist in the nearby School for Language and Communication Development. She then came to the North Shore Schools in 2015 and immediately began to put her knowledge and skills to work to build a better Seacliff. Dr. Cherry is highly committed to her own professional learning and is highly motivated to promote the social and emotional health of Seacliff students. She avidly reads professional journals and publications and regularly seeks out and attends conferences related to her work with students and teachers. Her growth and knowledge on school-based interventions and executive functioning, ADHD, and autism spectrum disorders is amazing and has had a tremendous impact on our work in the school. Dr. Cherry is a problem solver and is committed to others. She transfers her learning into practical strategies at child study team meetings, collegial circle meetings, parent meetings, and work with faculty. She's expanded her role as a leader of teachers and has also worked hard to identify building level issues and create strategies to solve them. She revamped the child study team progress monitoring process and has helped to coordinate push-in lessons for social emotional learning using the Zones of Regulation curriculum for kindergarten and the Sanford Harmony program for grades 1 and 2. She's continued to develop positive and productive relationships with faculty, parents, and students who see her as a helpful and trusted resource in helping students with emotional and behavioral needs. In fact, she's become so popular that sometimes there are people waiting in line to see her, both parents and students. She's led a series of workshops with parents related to the district effort in identifying at-risk behaviors correlated with substance abuse. In addition, she also designed and facilitated a collegial circle related to interventions for behavioral needs in the classroom, and that also was a program at our recent superintendent's conference day. Students enjoy working with Dr. Cherry in both the counseling room and in the Seacliff School Running Club, which she started 2 years ago. She's consistently thinking of how she can positively impact our students. Meredith, we are so proud to recommend that you become a tenured member of the Seacliff and North Shore family. Congratulations. Next up, I would like to have Julie Glickman come to the podium. Hi, Ellie. Julie Glickman began working at the Seacliff School as our social worker in 2015 after working in Brooklyn Tech High School. So Ms. Glickman made the transition from working in one of the largest urban high schools in New York City to one of the smallest elementary schools on Long Island with dedication and openness. And we are truly amazed at the transition she's made both in herself and for Seacliff School. Ms. Glickman has had an amazing impact on the school. She's created and implemented a social emotional learning based performance project that helps students to identify their own behavioral areas of improvement and how that related to their relationships. She's also engaged in the classroom, push-in lessons, dealing with commitment to others in all grades. In the primary grade, she's implementing the Sanford Harmony Social Emotional Learning Program, and in grades 3 through 5 this year, she began working in classrooms implementing lessons from the Teaching Tolerance curriculum. Ms. Glickman's greatest strength is her ability to take multiple perspectives in a conversation and to empathize with others. This has allowed her to not only model this process for students who are having interpersonal conflict, but also to help understand the needs of both parents and teachers. Ms. Glickman has shown a great energy in claiming her professional learning. She's attended conferences on both best practices for working with students on the autism spectrum and has expanded her own knowledge base with her own research and reading. In addition, Ms. Glickman has been actively involved in learning about de-escalation strategies for students and has actually become a trainer of other in-district faculty. She is highly skilled in leading workshops for fellow teachers in the areas of positive behavior and crisis management. She has become an active member of the mental health team and has helped encourage students to have agency and advocacy skills by developing a talk ticket system whereby students can request help and guidance whenever they need it. Julie, we are so proud to recommend you to become part of the tenured member of the Seacliff and North Shore families. Would Ms. Megan McCormick please come to the podium? Ms. Megan McCormick has served as a physical education teacher at Seacliff School for the past 2 years and worked in schools throughout the district before that time. A North Shore native, Ms. McCormick is a great asset to the Seacliff School and the North Shore schools. She sits on the Seacliff School Child Study Team and is also a member of the Seacliff School Safety Committee. She's an innovator and is committed to others. She makes practical and helpful recommendations in both committees and creates new ideas. Ms. McCormick organized the school's Red Ribbon Week this year, as well as the annual Circus Week. She redesigned the school's Fun Day program into a school-wide field day that was just amazing. On a district level, Ms. McCormick also serves as the head girls varsity lacrosse coach and is the president of Nassau County Lacrosse. She's an amazing worker and puts so much time into her work with students and the school. She runs several before and after school clubs at Seacliff School. She's dedicated to the continuous improvement of her own learning and creating deep and meaningful learning experiences in physical education. This year, she designed a performance-based assessment that allowed students to become innovators of their own CrossFit stations and also develop their skills as communicators and collaborators. Ms. McCormick is a positive role model for her elementary students and high school athletes. She exemplifies kindness, compassion, and hard work. She is empathetic and is able to help students feel connected and cared for. She never ceases in her quest to help students who are in need and to bring her colleagues together as well. Megan, we are so proud to recommend that you become a tenured member of the Seacliff and North Shore family.
Okay, Mr. Dennis, thank you.
Good evening. It is such a pleasure to be here with you all tonight, and an even greater privilege to speak on behalf of 3 phenomenally talented educators at North Shore Middle School and recommend them for tenure. I've had the chance to work alongside each of these teachers, and a common trait I can use to describe them is that they are all kid magnets. Whether in the classroom, at school-wide events, on field trips, or on the athletic fields, these professionals have the unique ability to attract any student that comes their way to them. I think the reason our middle-level learners gravitate to them is because of their recognition of the variety of needs that students have. Each of these teachers see students as developing human beings, and they work hard to instill within them a love of learning and a commitment to growing as a person. So first, can I ask that Mr. P.J. Como come join me up at the podium. PJ has been a special education teacher as part of our 6th grade team for the last 3 years at North Shore Middle School. During that time, Mr. Como has co-taught grade 6 math, 6th grade ICT skills, 6th grade ILC, and the Math Center. His colleagues have commented that Mr. Como lights up a room. He reads the needs of his students and can, with his amazing sense of humor and extreme sense of calm, make the most challenging topics feel manageable and approachable. Mr. Como believes in his students and in their potential to grow. I've been lucky enough to be in Mr. Como's classroom on several occasions and can say without hesitation that his students are fortunate to learn alongside him. He is caring, charismatic, reflective, and always thinking about the unique goals of his students. Outside the classroom, Mr. Como is involved as a member of our shared decision-making team, the Green Kill Experience, and is a coach for our athletic department. Mr. Como is also extremely interested in his own growth as an educator. In fact, PJ and a team of five of his colleagues joined me earlier this spring to attend the ASCD conference in Boston. Mr. Como took many of the lessons and skills that were learned in Boston and shared them with his grade level and department colleagues. He is a valued member of his department, his grade level, and our school, and I am very excited for many more years of professional success with Mr. Como. I also really admire the fact that Mr. Como is a product of North Shore Schools. He went to these schools, and he's now giving back to his community in a really, really genuine way. I recommend Mr. Como wholeheartedly for tenure, and I'm grateful for the dedication with which he approaches his students. Anthony Ficini, will you please join me at the podium? Anthony Ficini, or as some call him, Anthony Fettuccini, is a charismatic, thoughtful, forward-thinking, caring, and dedicated technology teacher at North Shore Middle School. He is a jack of all trades and has taught literally almost every course our technology department offers and has designed almost every one of those courses either on his own or with his colleague, including Makerspace, Renewable Revolution, Computer Design, Coding, Lego Robotics, and a general technology course. Anthony is creative in his approach to teaching, but perhaps more importantly, he approaches his craft with the lens of exposing students to the why and how of technology. I recall one of the first times I had the pleasure of being in Anthony's lab. His 6th grade students earlier in September were working on designing a car that could withstand a high-impact crash and protect its passenger, an egg. When I spoke with one of the 6th grade students in the class, I asked her, "Why are you doing this? What is the purpose?" And she said to me very matter-of-factly that one day someone in this class will work for a company that designs cars so that people don't have fatal accidents in a car crash. This response speaks to the real-world experience and applicability of Mr. Ficini's classroom. He strives to show students connections to the curriculum and to the real-world experiences and connections. In fact, Mr. Ficini's students have also collaborated with teachers to create furniture for some of our classrooms. Teachers are always in amazement at the talent of Anthony's students. Mr. Ficini is a member of the Building Emergency Response Team. He is an advisor to clubs. He is our resident Viking at the pep rally and on Team Challenge Day. And he is also a coach to multiple sports within our athletic department. Some would argue that Mr. Ficini is the heart and soul of North Shore Middle School. I am honored to work with him and know that his future is extremely bright. I recommend Mr. Ficini for tenure and am excited for his future work with our students. Francis Tlikowski, will you join me at the podium, please? You should clap for him, too. Francis is everything you can ask for in a social studies teacher. He is dynamic, research-oriented, forward-thinking, creative, collaborative, thoughtful, and passionate. Mr. T has taught 7th grade social studies as well as many electives, including National History Day, Criminal Justice, and Criminal Minds. Francis is extremely skilled at working with students to let them explore and discover for themselves the relevance of important historical documents. The conversations that his students have are impressive, frequently focusing on the relevance of history, how older documents and texts are still relevant to today, and the importance of understanding and vocalizing a source's origin and purpose. History comes alive in Mr. T's classrooms. His lessons are engaging and creative. Do you remember learning about disputes between Native Americans in 17th and 18th century social studies? Chances are it was done from some boring textbook or PowerPoint. Mr. T is different. His students are lucky. His approach to Native American land dispute involves students discussing group mentality, dissecting how people socialize and form bonds and alliances, and actually having a simulation of forming alliances and stealing from classmates. It was really awesome to see. This specific example is just one of countless ways in which Mr. T makes history relevant, important, and impactful to his students. Francis is a leader in his department. He is a leading voice within the National History Day curriculum, and I am excited about his work moving forward as we transition to make that a part of the 8th grade curriculum for all students. In addition to his classroom experience, I also selected Francis to be a teacher representative on our district strategic planning committee, helping create goals and action plans for the future of our schools. Mr. T is a club advisor and a coach within our athletic department. I am honored to recommend Francis for tenure, and I know he will continue to help elevate the academic prowess of North Shore Middle School students. Congratulations.
Okay, and Mr. Cousins, come on up. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am here tonight to introduce you to three of North Shore High School's finest teachers, and I'm going to first start with from the Italian department, from the languages department, Bridget Pamilla. Lindsay, this is one of your teachers at some point in high school, right? So for each of the teachers in the high school, I'm going to paint a little bit of a picture of their journey in the school, because I think that the process of their own professional growth over time is what is most impressive about each of the three individuals that you're going to meet tonight. So when we met Bridget in the interview process, what was really stuck out, and still sticks out to this day, is she was a park ranger looking for pregnant crabs on the boardwalk, and we were like, okay, but she wants to teach Italian. And so she has been with us for 5 years. She served 4 years in the leave replacement position, and she is a person who has committed so much to her own professional learning and growth through the responsive feedback from her supervisors. She has been a pleasure to work with in that she is reflective, and you can see the growth over time from her first year up until now, and we've been so impressed with the increase in her confidence. She's most distinguished for her use of technology. She is often found in the language lab, which we have a state-of-the-art language lab. Anytime I'm giving a tour to anybody who's coming to see the high school, I will walk down there. Bridget's always there, getting ready, and she also provides a lot of staff development for her department, but she's very willing to drop everything and speak to anyone who comes to the school about the language lab and the power of allowing all students to be speaking at all times. She also has taken on the challenge of IB Italian, which is a challenge, and she has really done a great job of helping students to understand it's not just learning the language, but it's using the language to solve problems, and it's about recognizing the impact that culture has on language and on our interactions with each other. We have been so impressed with her growth over time, and we're extremely delighted as an entire high school administration to recommend her for tenure. So here's Bridget. Next up, we have Lisa Miller, Lisa Della Bastide. Here's Lisa. We met Lisa fresh out of teacher school, and North Shore was so excited to find her. She stood out among all of the candidates for the chemistry position, and as the board may remember, chemistry was always an area of focus. And I have a lot of confidence when I say it was a transition that occurred at about the time, coincidentally, of Lisa coming to North Shore, that we really started to see some shifts in how students perceived themselves as learners in chemistry. And what's impressive about that is Lisa's core belief that students can do it, that they can be empowered. And she treats the students as though they are brilliant and that they have a lot of strength. She doesn't give them anything. She helps them find their way toward the solution, which is very impressive for being a new teacher. Her instincts were always very, very sound in terms of empowering the students to solve their own problems and to ask their own questions. She really stands out in her willingness to support anything in the school. In her second year at North Shore High School, she became a class advisor, which is a very tough thing to do for a young teacher, and she's done that with amazing sophistication. highly organized, extremely detail-oriented, and she interfaces so well with the parents. So she's now currently the junior class advisor, and she successfully pulled off an impressive prom. And further testament to her commitment to the school is that she stepped in and taught physics as well. She's a brilliant scientist and an extremely talented educator, and it is without any hesitation that I highly recommend her for tenure. And last but not least, please join me in welcoming Chris Fitucci. So Chris has been at North Shore since, I'm told, 2007. So he's been here, actually we probably came around the same time, in many different capacities. And now as a member of the physical education department, he stands out most for his relationships with his students. He is the go-to person when it comes to an adaptive physical education class, that personal relationship he has with individuals in getting them to be empowered with their own sense of confidence and ability to play sport, to play games, to develop physically. Chris understands that every single student is unique and is motivated by different means. He is calm, he is kind, and he is humorous. And what's really impressive is he actually, for his observation, the scheduled observation, he invited me in to see a tennis lesson, which I was so excited to do, and I just thought that was such confidence and so cool to have that experience with him. He has developed so much in terms of his ability to give precise feedback to students, and he is instrumental in the whole department, which is a highly successful department as far as physical education departments in any high school goes. I think we have one of the best. I'm also told from his family that his favorite hobbies are fishing and laundry, which I think is really, that's very Chris, if you know Chris. He's an active participant in our probationary teacher meetings. He really brings an interesting perspective at recognizing that learning occurs in the physical education space, but so does play and experiencing what we can learn through healthy competition and what sport can bring to our students. He's a fantastic coach, and he's beloved by all, and I highly recommend him for tenure.
Okay, are we ready?
So I think we're ready.
Okay.
We are ready.
Trustees, we're going to take action on the first item, which is tenure recognition for these wonderful professionals that we've met this evening. Well, we met them before, but that you've all met this evening. So I'd like to recommend Meredith Cherry, Philip Como, Anthony Ficini, Julie Glickman, Megan McCormick, Lisa Miller, Bridget Pamela, Mr. T.
Slakowski.
Okay, that. And Chris Fitucci and Christine Volk for tenure. Could I have a motion? And I have a second? All in favor? Thank you. So we have a couple of more items that we're going to do, and then we will all proceed to the cafeteria to celebrate with some cake. So if you'll bear with us for a couple more things. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the student recognition.
We have retiree, yes, we have student recognitions
Yep.
first. Okay. Ready?
Yeah. Are we going to go front? Yeah.
No, we don't have to.
No. Okay. Let's not.
Okay.
No.
Ashna, are you here? Okay.
here. Okay.
All right. So Ashna Gibbons is here to join us tonight as a first place National History Day winner. This year, North Shore had 32 students work on National History Day projects, and 20 of those students competed in the Long Island History Day contest at Hofstra University. Mr. Gordon told me that this was an exciting day for students and parents to see the best history projects on all of Long Island. While all North Shore projects showed excellent historical research and incredible student commitment, one project received the highest honors on all of Long Island. Ashna Gibbons' documentary about the militant tactics in the women's suffrage movement finished first place in the Junior Division Individual Documentary category. Ashna's documentary takes on a difficult and important historical topic with vigor, scholarship, and grace. And it's a really important thing that we don't forget about either, right? We are proud to show you Ashna's documentary as an example of the high-quality work North Shore students work so hard to create. So, Elliot, hit it.
When you think of the women's suffrage movement, you think of American women fervently protesting for their rights and then the benevolent government granting them suffrage. You wouldn't think that English suffragettes played a considerable role in radicalizing American women, which helped tremendously to win the vote, or that the governments of both countries would persist for so long in such ugly ways, denying women one of their inalienable rights. Led by the radicalized Alice Paul, American women performed mass protests and demonstrations, eventually resorting to violence before finally gaining the right to vote. The American suffrage movement created political and physical conflicts using British militant tactics that led to the compromise of the 19th Amendment. The first calls for suffrage started on July 19th and 20th, 1848. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott formed the first women's rights convention in America, the infamous Seneca Falls Convention, stating, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal." It would take several decades and many frustrations and reformations of the organization to finally form the more conservative National American Women's Suffrage Association, NAWSA, in 1890. This conservatism ultimately led them nowhere. So how did we get from the forming of the NAWSA to the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920? It was Alice Paul's influence on the American suffragists. She brought British militant tactics she learned in England to further the U.S. suffrage movement. Born in 1885, Paul was raised as a Quaker with beliefs of gender equality. Paul went to England to study in Birmingham in 1907. There she met the first British suffragettes, the Pankhursts. She saw Christabel Pankhurst, Emmeline's daughter, being jeered at and forced off stage when speaking for women's suffrage. Paul introduced herself to Christabel and joined the movement and its militancy. In 1903, Emmeline Pankhurst had formed the Women's Social Political Union, or WSPU, employing militant tactics such as breaking windows, vandalizing public property, and fist-fighting with policemen to create conflict.
You have to make more noise than anybody else. You have to make yourself more obtrusive than anybody else. You have to fill all the papers more than anybody else. We will put the enemy in the position where they will have to choose between giving us freedom or giving us death.
On June 4, 1913, Emily Davison threw herself under the King's Racecourse at Paddington Center in protest and died, starting a riot. Then, on November 18th and 22nd, after a suffrage bill was thrown out, further riots ensued. Called Black Friday and the Battle of Downing Street, these riots would cause the WSPU to revert to a state of war. The WSPU's militancy peaked as they set arson to palaces and houses, destroyed works of art, seared golf courses with acid, burnt down sports pavilions, broke street lamps, staged false fire alarms, severed telephone wires, blew up fuse boxes, and placed bombs near the Bank of England. Alice Paul eventually broke 48 windows personally, getting arrested and imprisoned several times. Only one thing stopped their progress. World War I broke out, and the WSPU suspended all militant acts in a show of patriotism. It was during her time with the Pankhursts in England that Alice Paul saw how militancy would turn the tide for the women in America. Paul returned to the U.S. in 1910 and joined the NAWSA, saying, "The militant policy is bringing success. The agitation has brought England out of her lethargy, and women of England are now talking of the time when they will vote." In 1914, Paul formed her own semi-autonomous group called the Congressional Union for Women's Suffrage, CUWS. While NAWSA saw the government as an ally and focused on state campaigns, Alice Paul blamed the government, forming the CUWS to focus entirely on getting a federal constitutional amendment passed. Paul started her struggle for a federal amendment by confronting newly elected President Woodrow Wilson. On March 3, 1913, the CUWS organized a publicity parade to march at Wilson's inauguration. The scene turned violent when a slew of male onlookers attacked the suffragists, first verbally with insults and obscenities, and then with physical violence, while the police stood back and watched.
He too believed in a kind of male superiority politics as the prerogative and preserve of man.
Paul and her followers wanted to cut through the fierce opposition from pro-war groups and men fearing politically active women would be disruptive to home life. In 1916, the COWS completely detached from the NASA. They formed the National Women's Party, NWP. Finally, they could begin employing militant strategy to get through to Wilson. How did they do this? Picketing. In January of 1917, the NWP sent silent sentinels to picket the White House around the clock and would continue to do so non-stop for the next 2 years. The picketers held banners meant to target, confront, and shame the president for his inaction. Wilson paid them no mind, remaining unfazed until the U.S. entered World War I on April 6th. Many thought the suffragists would stop protesting as the British suffragettes had, but the NWP remained undeterred in their efforts. Citizens accused them of undermining the American war effort and being anarchists. Many government officials and citizens interpreted wartime protests as public acts of disloyalty. As such, both authorities and crowds directed their anger toward the silent sentinels, who were attacked by angry mobs. The suffragist actions became more disruptive. They took Wilson's quotes about democracy, read them aloud, and burned them to show how hypocritical Wilson's double standard was. Masses came to watch their demonstrations, sometimes growing violent. The police had levied harsher punishments. The picketers were fined but refused to pay. The women were continuously arrested on charges of disrupting traffic. Eventually, all picketers, including Alice Paul herself, were sentenced to 6 months in Occoquan Workhouse and Penitentiary Prison in Virginia, a miserable, cramped, cold, rat-infested place. The remaining NWP members continued to protest, holding signs calling the president Kaiser Wilson. Paul and her fellow prisoners demanded to be treated as political prisoners, but were denied. The women were treated horribly and beaten. The jailers even beat the older, frailer women. The worst night was November 13, 1917, when NWP members Lucy Burns, Dorothy Day, Dora Lewis, and Alice Kossuth were clubbed, beaten, and tortured after Occoquan Superintendent W.H. Whitaker sent his guards upon the women. Dora Lewis, thrown into a cell, hit her head on an iron bed. Suddenly, Alice Kossuth thought Lewis was dead and suffered a heart attack. Lucy Burns was stripped naked, her hands raised over her head, and chained to the bars until the next day. Dorothy Day had her arm twisted behind her back and was slammed twice over the back of an iron bench. The women dubbed this the Night of Terror. The imprisoned suffragists went on hunger strikes, threatening to starve themselves to death. In response, they were torturously force-fed through tubes shoved down their noses or throats. The conditions of the workhouse, combined with the hunger strikes and forced feedings, made the women violently ill. When news of the Night of Terror and forced feedings leaked, the press and even some politicians began demanding the women's release. This sympathy caused public support to rise dramatically, and the soldier vote went heavily pro-suffrage in 1917. In November, New York State voted for women's suffrage to be added to their constitution. After they won New York, both the NWP and the NASA campaigned swiftly and decisively in Washington, D.C. for the amendment. It was only after this event and out of fear of further protests that Wilson changed his position and actively worked towards a compromise for passage of the federal suffrage amendment.
It was not until World War I when the supporters of women's suffrage began taking what we would later call direct action into the streets, chaining themselves to the fence around the White House, that he really put the power of his presidency behind women's suffrage.
Finally, the 19th Amendment was ratified on August 19, 1920. The militant women's suffrage movement had a significant lasting impact. It set the stage for feminist movements in the 20th century, such as the Flappers of the 1920s and the passage of Title IX, outlawing discrimination in education based on sex. Women continue to fight for equality today. In 2016, the Democratic Party nominated the first female candidate for president in U.S. history, Hillary Clinton, after her opponent, Donald Trump, won 2.6 million people marched worldwide the day after his inauguration in 2017 in the largest women's march in history, just as the NWP did at Wilson's inauguration. After women won the vote, Alice Paul wrote and campaigned for an equal rights amendment that has still not been passed today. Though there is still much more work to do, the strides American women have made in the last century would not have been possible without the militant suffrage movement. And if not for Alice Paul effectively using tactics established by the Pankhursts, who knows how long it would have taken for women to be enfranchised.
So Ashna, come on up.
Oh, you left them over there? Okay.
I'm just telling you the
I think we do, oh, I thought we did this, so we're gonna do, yes. Betty said the pens are over there. Let's do it at the podium.
Well, I tried to turn the lights down and all, right? So, okay, so Wonder League. Where are you guys? You're in one general location? Okay. Hello. Okay, so 4th and 5th grade students from our elementary schools competed in this year's Wonder League robotics competition under the supervision of their STEAM teacher and coach, Ms. Adrienne Kay. The Wonder League is a growing worldwide network of elementary coding and robotics clubs, and their goal is to inspire a love of coding, computer science, and STEM. This year, the competition included 3 rounds of missions, followed by a final invitational round. Each mission involved 3 story-based coding challenges of varying levels of difficulty. As students developed new skills and expertise in coding, robotics, and scientific thinking, the rounds became more challenging and required more extensive planning and reflection. So get this, there were more than 7,100 teams from 63 countries participating in this year's competition. After working all fall and winter to complete the 3 rounds of missions, the teams submitted the required pieces of evidence, including videos, journal entries, and completed programs. The top teams were invited to participate in the invitational round. When I was in 4th and 5th grade, I think I was eating dirt. So this is very impressive. 2 of our Seacliff teams earned spots to complete in this year's Wonder League Invitational Round, which is a truly outstanding accomplishment. As a result of the experience, the students not only developed their proficiency with coding, but also their facility as thinkers, problem solvers, collaborators, and committed individuals. The 2 teams of students who advanced to the invitational round of the prestigious coding competition are... Excuse me?
Is the coach here? Can we bring the
Is
coach up?
Adrienne here?
Is our coach
Adrienne?
here?
Come on up, Adrienne.
Thank you. Congratulations. An amazing team.
Congratulations. So a quick word about Adrian. Adrian's classrooms, and S, because she has 3 of them in 3 different schools, are the most wonderful, busy, cognitively busy places of exploration and inquiry I have ever seen. And kids have, every time I go in there, it is just amazing to watch kids grapple with and make sense out of all of these cool things. Some more technologically advanced than others. But all very, very purposely thought through, and I thank you very, very much. You're very talented. You're welcome. Okay. There are 2 teams. So Seacliff Team 2 is composed of Elliot Bryant, Graham Lippert, Ariane Vera, and Jared White. Are you all here?
Come on up.
Elliot. Gentlemen, how are you? Arian. Yes, this is Eli. And Jared White. Okay. Arian and Jared. There you go. All right, so let me shake your hands. One. Thank you. Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done. You're welcome to say your name. Everybody says my name incorrectly, so I try really hard. Right? And I had a coach too, but I met you a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So we need a photo, right?
Yeah, we need a photo. Can you guys come up here so that we can drop it around?
Well done, guys. Okay, so you stay here. Okay, and Seacliff Team 1 was composed of Seamus Hughes, Thomas Reynolds, and Eli Wesley Jones. Where are you guys? Here comes Eli.
Why don't you guys turn for a photo? Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so shall I tee up the retirees?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 11 retirees this year. They are not all here, but I will read their names. Peter Baker and Patricia Cano and Francis Christ, Nancy Frank, Joan Gargano, Dean Miller, Gary Petschauer, Sharon Schmiemann, Faye Vrischella, Chris Wally, and Isabel Wayner. They represent all different teachers and clerical and bus drivers and yep. And if you are here, I know there are definitely 2 of you here. So Nancy, I know you were here. If you could please stand, and Dean, I know you were here. Please, if you could please stand.
getting there.
So, among all of the 11 retirees, we celebrate, take a guess, how many years of service?
Come on, SGO reps, tell us, how many
Tell
years of
us.
service?
97.
No way. 20?
They are,
There's 11 of them. They're retiring.
okay,
All right, let me give it to you, right? It's late. 286 years
wow.
of service, right? So if you were on The Price of Right, you would win, Lindsay, right? So 286 years of service to the North Shore schools. And like I said, they represent every bargaining unit, every facet within our organization, and all together. So among those 286 years of service, thousands of children's lives have been touched and impacted. I want to, on behalf of the board and the administration and the parents, and most especially our students in North Shore, I want to thank you for the love and the care and the dedication that you've given to our to the thousands of kids that have been in your stewardship over the course of all these years. So thank you very much. Okay.
Yep.
And so now we'll tee up our board member recognition. We have 2 outgoing board members, and I want to thank Tony Labate and Herman Berliner for your support and confidence in me as a leader. I've enjoyed working with you both, and I want to remind you, and remind you again, you will always have a home here in the North Shore schools, and I hope to see you often.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So I know we have some things, right?
Yes.
Joanna is presenting? Yes?
Say a few words about Herman, and then I'll
Wonderful.
say a few about Tony.
Thank you. Trustee Commander, you're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations to those of you who received tenure tonight, a major step in your lives. And I think Megan and Chris, it was 2 years ago that we were in seminar class, so I can't believe you're getting tenure. So congratulations to all of you. And to those of you who are retiring tonight, a sincere thank you for dedicating yourselves to the children of the district. I'm hoping and praying for you that you take more time enjoying yourselves in retirement and really relaxing more than I have. So I hope that for you. I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak about a mentor, a colleague, and my friend Herman Berliner. When I think of Herman, the word gravitas comes to mind. I've had the opportunity to work at Hofstra in 2 positions. Coincidentally, during both of those jobs, I was in clear sight of a building named Berliner Hall. I remember being so taken with the level of respect and esteem the university must hold for this man in honoring him by naming a building after him. Over the years, as I've gotten to know Herman, I understand all too well why he was honored in this way. The North Shore community is most fortunate to call him our own. He has devoted 9 years of skilled and devoted leadership to the North Shore schools. During that time, he has served as vice president for 2 years and president for 3 years. He has mentored new trustees, assisted in the transition to new board leadership, provided expertise, logic, and reason to our discussions, as he has always encouraged different points of view to be expressed so that hopefully we could reach consensus. Herman has provided the board with a perspective and a keen understanding of the skills required for college-bound students. He helped provide a set of clear expectations to our administration and staff to get North Shore students to the point of college readiness. His work in collaboration with Hofstra has contributed to the growth of our internship program, as well as our student teaching program and observation programs, which have so positively impacted our school district. Herman is a strong advocate in the area of science research. He often spoke of its importance and always inspired the district to reach further in the advancement of the science programs. 4 years ago, we saw 8 students involved in science research. This year, 53 students are enrolled in that program. No doubt Herman experienced extra pride as seeing Audrey O'Brien was named a Regeneron semifinalist and noted as a top 300 scholar in the science talent research. In our middle school, more students are opting to do science research. More students have maintained that interest through 12th grade, and there's an increasing number of students participating in local state competitions. Herman's love for travel and the arts remind us that there is a world much larger than North Shore into which our graduates should seek success and fulfillment. It is my hope that much of his newfound free time will be spent enjoying these passions, as well as, and Herman, I think perhaps you'll understand as I'm sure anyone else, in your search for the perfect dreidel. To the board, I ask that we remember Herman's wisdom in our future discussions, that we embrace the theme that he always spoke to, that we go through great lengths to hire the best staff and administration that we can, and we should always respect and trust their professional expertise and experience as they do the very best for our children. Herman, on behalf of the Board of Education and the entire North Shore community, I thank you for your years of service in enriching our community.
I can't resist saying a few words. You know, it's been an honor for me to have been elected by our community to serve 3 terms on the North Shore School Board. This is an excellent school district with top-notch teachers. I'm also proud of what the school board has accomplished in recent years, supporting important educational initiatives, including FLES and IB, being prudent in our budgeting, becoming more transparent, video broadcasting our school board meetings, meeting with legislators, hiring a lobbyist, adding public members to our audit committee, establishing a legislative action committee, selecting a new auditor and a new law firm, and last year selecting a new superintendent. I have tremendous respect for my colleagues on the school board, past and present. We don't always agree, but there's no doubt that all of us are committed to providing the best education possible for our students and maintaining the excellent academics, athletics, and arts balance for all students. In the years ahead, it is essential that we not be complacent. Our students must continue to be prepared as well as possible. But if we settle for higher test scores and fluffy goals alone, we are not serving our students well enough. We are entering the 4th industrial revolution. Now, contrary to what many of you may think, I have not been alive for all 4. The McKinsey Global Institute has concluded that 65% of the children entering primary school today will ultimately end up working in a completely new job types that don't exist yet. We should prepare our students for these jobs and for the world they will be living in. We should especially make sure that they are complex, adaptive problem solvers, as that is what the 21st century calls for. Our children need to learn leadership skills, communication and negotiation skills, critical thinking, creativity, and complex information processing. They need to value sustainability and take social responsibility seriously. They need to appreciate and respect diversity. They need the skills that stand the test of time. Moving forward, the board should strive to be even more transparent. If a member of the community asks why our education costs more per pupil than some other districts, we should answer promptly, and our answer, in my opinion, should demonstrate that a North Shore education delivers the skills and qualities our students need to be successful 21st century global citizens. Security and safety will continue to be major priorities, and we must make sure we're doing everything possible to protect everyone in our community. We need to be steadfast in making sure we are dealt with fairly by LIPA, Nassau County, and New York State in resolving the remaining power plant issues. We need to be vigilant in protecting our students to the extent that we can from substance abuse. This is a national concern. It is also an important local concern. Thanks again to the community for giving me the honor of serving and doing my part to help. I am convinced that North Shore schools are excellent, but the best is yet to come. Thank you very much.
Tony, would you like to join me?
Oh, you want me to?
Come on up. Yes. Make everybody get up twice. Because tonight, we also have to say goodbye to Tony Labate as a trustee and as our board president, because after 6 long years of service, Tony is stepping down at the end of her term, and she will be greatly missed. I first met Tony when she first ran for school board. No idea who she was, but the candidates were on the front lawn of the Seacliff School, and I thought, you know, I should go meet them and see who we're voting for. And I wish I could recall Tony's exact words, but I was truly struck by the sense of obligation she conveyed in terms of how she felt she needed to serve our schools. And I think that dedication to our community has only become more evident in the years that I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with her. And truly, nothing else could explain the extent to which she is drawn to jobs with very long hours and absolutely no pay. From the board of the local preschool to North Shore School Board, Tony has committed herself time and again to our children and to public education. Her board leadership has been significant, orchestrating the hiring of a new superintendent, presiding over school board meetings we can be proud of, building relationships with other school districts, and I could go on and on, but I think we'll most remember her commitment to all of the kids in our schools, her support for all of our programs, and how deeply she valued everything that makes North Shore what it is. And I really doubt that will change with her stepping down from the board. I think we'll still see her beaming at our concerts, cheering from the bleachers, and applauding at the science symposiums. Serving our public schools is an exceptionally important kind of work to do, as all of you know. And we are grateful to you for the time and dedication that you've devoted to ours, and we will greatly, greatly miss you.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say thank you. I'm not going to make a speech. I just thank you to my fellow trustees. Thank you for the hours of work that you all put in, that you will continue to. I appreciate our 2 new board members that will be joining the board and doing this in very, very, very important work for public education. You will see me around. I plan to stay involved in the schools, but true to my name, Antoinette, let them eat cake. We have cake. I learned those bad jokes from Herman. If anybody knows Herman, they know that's true. Right, Lara? Okay. So we're going to do one more recognition, and then we'll have cake.
One more?
One more.
Can I
Yep.
key this one up?
You can. Go
Okay.
for it. Oh, I forgot to get another pen.
Here.
There's one right over there.
Yes?
Thank you.
Okay, and last but not least, I've worked in several school districts. I've always got to sit at the board table when I have been an administrator, particularly a superintendent. And in all of the years that I've been doing this, I have not had the privilege of having students join us at the table. And I think it is a real value add to what we do here. And I really appreciate it. I actually look forward to seeing you the most every month. So I want to thank you. I want to offer my thanks, and I want to offer my good luck to Emily and Lindsay. These are two of the coolest, right, smartest, insightful young women. I'm not kidding. I've come to know in 25 years. We sat in my office a few months ago or so, and I mean, just really interesting discussion. So I've actually been with you when you've been dressed from a scene out of a horror movie. Passing through the halls right in my office, at a lot of board meetings, as equal partners in the development of our social emotional pillar of the strategic plan. So I thank you for that. You have approached every interaction I've had with you and everyone that I've observed you take part in with insight and intellect. Has always prevailed in all that you've done. I feel good about our world with you in it. And I wish you much luck. I wish you great success at finally Ohio State, yes, and Vanderbilt. Am I right? Lafayette. I apologize. And I hope that your Viking sails always have more tailwinds than headwinds. So I wish you much luck. Good luck, ladies.
Planning for this.
Gotta move it out a little bit.
We do this every year. We've never learned.
Very good. It took, what, 20 meetings to get a pen? I know. Right? That's great.
Okay.
So
Then we get their last report.
Oh, you have a report?
they have a report.
Fabulous. We like to have a report.
So we just, also a big thank you to you guys. We really did enjoy coming to the meetings every month or 2 weeks, so thank you so much. So we just wanted to conclude on the final year. So classes have officially ended on June 7th, but for seniors it was really June 6th. We had our senior breakfast the 7th, which was really a big hit among the seniors. Mr. Cousins actually pulled me aside in the hallway that day and told me that our senior class actually stayed like so long. Like, usually everyone grabs a bagel and runs and heads to the beach, but we stayed till 12 o'clock, like really engaging in the yearbook signings that we had wanted to do for our classmates.
And we also just wanted to bring up Moving Up Day. We wanted to honor Zoe Mallon because she was the one who got the tapping award, so we just wanted to mention her. And we also wanted to shout out the yearbook crew because this year's yearbook was definitely the best. So I don't know, you could credit that for the extensive signing, but we really enjoyed the yearbook and Moving Up Day.
And also with Miss Labate leaving, we have John Labate coming to the table next year, so you guys are definitely so lucky to have him, and also Mike Albanese as the SGO representatives.
And so, just like Emily said at the beginning, we just wanted to thank you guys so much for welcoming us every 2 weeks, and it was definitely an experience that we enjoyed.
You did a great job.
Now we can eat cake.
Tony and I aren't going to be back.
I know, right? All right, so this is going to be quick. We're going to do the veterans. We're doing a hearing. We don't have to motion to come back. Well,
If we're back,
okay.
just the motion, it's supposed to be hearing, we table this for a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You want to move to the action items? Sure. So Betty, we're going to move the hearing to a little bit later in case we get an audience back. The hearing portion. Dave is making a motion to push the veterans tax exemption portion of the meeting at a time.
Which was the beginning of the meeting.
Oh.
I don't know if you're allowed to change it or not, you know, because...
Well, we have another public comment section, so if they'd like, we can do that. Yeah, we'll keep it the way it is. Let's keep it the way it is. He withdrew the motion. We'll keep it the way it is. So we'll do the hearing on the veterans tax exemption. There are 3 of them: veterans tax exemption, tenant stockholders of cooperative apartments, apartment corporations, and then the transfer of exemption. I open it up to trustees. Do you have any comments or questions?
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second. All in favor? Okay. Let's move to the approval of the minutes from May 31st, 2018. Could I have a motion? Motion. Could I have a second? Comments or questions? All in favor? We'll have a public comment section, but there is no public to comment. Let's do the report. Oh, I forgot the report of the superintendent.
Okay. Well, the report of the superintendent is going to be very, very short tonight.
Okay.
Just to say thank you for a wonderful first year. Kind of hard to believe it's our last meeting of the year. The year has been super busy. I want to just very personally and professionally thank Rob and Olivia and Betty Campy, the entire faculty administration, for making my entry to North Shore so positive. I want to also thank the board for entrusting me with this incredible opportunity to lead these amazing schools. In the 9 short months, we have been able to wrap up the development of, and we're about to present a strategic plan. We've completely revised our budget development process. We've gone through a host of instructional priorities that I'll write to the community about before the end of the academic year. And we addressed issues ranging from traffic to equity to taxation to safety and security, and we've made some good progress. So I'm thankful for what feels like probably thousands of people that I've met. I've enjoyed my transition here very much, and I'm looking forward to getting started in a couple of weeks into a new academic year with some good momentum. So I will look forward to seeing many and all at all of the various celebrations that will be forthcoming over the course of the next week, and I wish everybody a really terrific summer.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you. Comments from the public? Let's move on to regular business.
As advertised.
We'll do personnel. Could I have a motion?
Motion?
And I have a second. Comments or questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes, we have to make a motion to amend. So I'm going to make a motion to amend, and Peter's going to tell us the details. On page 3, it's the part-time appointment of Diane Vestuto.
Correct.
Should be listed as an MA plus 30.
Correct.
It was done incorrectly, and we didn't catch it. It was not caught until right before this evening. So we decided to do an amendment. Could I have a motion to amend?
Motion.
And a second? All in favor of amending? Okay, and...
That was my fault, and I apologize.
Action, stuff happens. So we'll go with action item A, which is the personnel as amended. Could I have a motion? And I have a second. All in favor? All right, thank you. Action item B, approval of fund balance allocation. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Action item C, which is the approval of... so action item C, which is the approval of the 18-19 Board of Education meeting calendar. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And I have a second. Comments or questions? All in favor? Action item D, the adoption / abolishment of policies. We reviewed this at the last meeting. Could I have a motion? And a second? And comments? Questions? All in favor? Action item E, approval of the memorandum of agreement between the North Shore Central School District and the United Public Service employees. Could I have, this is the cafeteria unit. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Second. Comments? All in favor? Action item F, approval of budget transfers. Could I have a motion? Motion. And a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Action item G, which is the approval of the resolution authorizing litigation. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Comments? All in favor? Action item H, which is the approval of the special education tuition agreement with the Anderson Center for Autism. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
So it's kind of for H, I, and J, and J and K.
K.
These are for what the tuition is set if we have any students attending these facilities, correct? It's not necessarily for a particular student, because as I understand it, some of this from over the years is that some of these are state-approved facilities, correct?
Correct. Summit is a state-approved facility. No, these are for actual placements.
Oh, these for actual places of individual children?
Mm-hmm.
They're not just,
They're not placeholders.
okay.
Anyone else? Okay, so all in favor of I?
H, I think.
No.
H.
Oh, I'm sorry, H. H. So yes. And let's take I, J, and K together. Could I have a motion for action item I, J, and K? I have a motion, a second? Second. All in favor, questions? All in favor. Let's go to L, approval of special education services, the IEPs. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Questions, comments? All in favor? Action item M, the approval of the amendment to the agreement with Let Grow, Inc. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And I have a second. Comments? All in favor? Oh, yes?
I just had a question about
Sure.
the program. Could somebody give detail on the program?
Sure. So Let Grow is a program that is run by Lenore Skenazy, I think her last name is. It's about helping families and empowering children to, not to be a little bit more independent. Letting kids walk to school on their own, walk to the bus stop on their own, do chores, let them do developmental things, let them have some productive struggle so that they learn how to cope with things that are hard for them.
Is this an ongoing, or is this somebody who's just consulting them?
So she came in, she did a parent presentation a couple of weeks ago. And she's been doing, her work mostly got started, I think, at the Glenhead School, and we're looking to expand that out to the other two schools as well. You're welcome.
When she spoke when she did the presentation, I believe, I did not attend, but I believe we had,
175.
130, but
175.
175
parents.
And subsequently, the elementary schools have been sending home materials to the parents to be like, instead of homework, find a challenge for your kid. And there's been some stuff on Twitter showing the stuff kids are doing. It's been a very robust, interesting.
Thank you. Great.
Yeah, sort of as a culture, we've moved to shield kids from any kind of hardship, and that's having an effect.
Okay. All in favor of action item M? Let's move to action item N, which is the approval of the retainer agreement with Ingram and Smith.
Motion.
I have a motion and I have a second. Question? All in favor? Action item O, which is the approval of agreement with Erase Racism. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And I have a second. Any questions? All in favor? Action item P, which is the approval of a side letter of agreement between the Board of Education and the federated employees regarding personal business leave. This is for the day
For June 25.
June 25. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And I have a second. Comments or questions? All in favor? Action item Q, approval of agreement with KFBPTA Inc. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Questions? All in favor? Action item R, which is an approval of agreement with BozemanScience.com/Inc. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And I have a second. Comments or questions? All in favor? Action item S, approval of agreement with MNR CPR Corp. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Questions? All in favor? We have a comment from the public section. Public? Any comments? Okay, let's move on to old business. And let's move on.
There's one.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to report that CASA held their last event of the year on June 4th. There was a presentation by the National Drug Force. The task force did a presentation on vaping. It was extremely good.
I was there.
It was very scary and very informative. So I want to thank the school board for the support of CASA and their programs. We are planning a major wellness fair at the end of September, which we're really looking to target the younger people in the community and their families. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So new business.
One small thing.
I have one small thing as well.
I want to say Peter had suggested in the materials he sent that we look at that NISBA policy update
Oh,
service.
yes,
And
I
so
did.
I just wanted to say, I think we should get the policy update service.
Yes, I do
but-
too.
But, some people may know better than I.
So that policy update service, when you all go to the NISBA convention, which I highly recommend that you do, there's a lot of information about that at the convention, because the convention is downstate this year.
Yep.
So it's really informative. There's a lot of interesting things happening. And you can talk to, is it just NISBA that does that policy?
It was NISBA, and he gave us the brochure on it, that
Yeah.
like when the laws change or when there's
Right.
new advice, that they're going to proactively tell you how to update your policy and why, and it costs $850 a year. And I
Right.
was like,
But,
It's the boilerplate stuff that we might not catch, not stuff
but
specific
really,
to-
right.
and
because you
which is
just
I
might,
support.
right, you might not know that a law or regulation had changed. You might be
Right.
oblivious to it.
Right, and so we get updates from our
the
attorneys,
Right.
but they'll do they'll look at the policy manual. They will let us know what are the what's legally mandated, what's optional, which is a local policy, and they'll just keep you every month or so. I think it's every month you get a policy update. There are essentially two main service providers for this. One of them is NISBA. The second one is Erie One BOCES. And so I think your policy manual was done by NISBA.
It was, yeah.
Yes? Okay. So it would make sense, as long as you're happy with your policy manual, that it
do
would
that
make sense to stick with NISBA. So thank you for bringing it up, and I would say we'll work on getting a proposal and start putting that in motion for the next year.
So my only new business was just the vaping issue. I did go to the vaping presentation. As of that date, which was June 4th, vaping laws had changed in Nassau County, and no longer can anyone under the age of 21 purchase vaping materials. I don't know if we have a comprehensive, equally enforced, not policy, but procedure at the high school and the middle school if we find children vaping, but I think we really need to, and I think it's something that should be reviewed with the board. And there was some murmurings. I sat in the back of the room, and there were lots of murmurings, and some even employees of the district saying they don't do anything about it. They catch kids and they don't do anything. I do know from personal experience, friends, kids who have been suspended for it, so I know that they don't do nothing about it. But I really think that it would be great, it would be really helpful if that was very clear. And now
it's a
that we
good
can,
opportunity
it's a
with
good
the change in the
opportunity,
law.
now that it is 18 and older. And that means,
Nobody.
no one, and that means not on campus. Because I can tell you that I have glanced over at the car next to me, and the kid has been vaping at the light on campus. So,
Yeah. Okay. We'll take a look at the code of, that'll be part of our code of conduct work this summer.
yeah, it's just a great opportunity to do that.
Absolutely.
So does anyone else have new business? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome. Motion to adjourn? Motion. All right, all in favor? Sayonara.
She says that was such a
Wait, I gotta drop the microphone. Drop it out.
Oh my God, look.